Good Monday morning. I want to show you folks this. If you're in a nice warm place, we're in Alberta, and this is what happens in Alberta. Look at that. Snow, 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 snow. Amazing. So the weather came in a couple nights ago, and it just kept snowing and snowing and snowing and snowing and snowing. And that's the results. Okay, I'm gonna hook my phone up here and continue doing my show here. Okay, I got a lot of requests for something I wanted to do, which is laminate a divine calendar so whoever I send it to can put it on their wall. So I have one from Ontario with Jackie and Paul. I'm going to send them one, and I'm going to send Mike Knotts one, and I'm going to send Zachary Land one, but I have to have the funds to do it. Right now I don't. But I did have a job interview last Monday, and I'm supposed to get an offer, I guess. So the guy on the phone, when he called me, said the offer is coming from Montreal. I said, well, do I have the job? He says, yes, you have the job. We're just going to make the offer and set you up. So a job is coming for me. So that's the good news. And it's a really, really good job. It's for Unified Systems Group, and it's for an alarm technician, mostly card access. So it's going to be a sweet job for sure. So that's good news. Now I can get myself back on my feet a bit. And once I'm able to do more service in the Lord as far as sending some material that I have, the treasures that I have that are duplicates and triplicates and things like that, I'll be able to do this. So I plan on sending some of those divine calendars once the money starts rolling in. Until then, right, I'm pretty much tapped out as far as money is concerned and ability to do so. So, be patient with me. It'll come. I also want to say I appreciate the contributions I do get, and will use them contribution to further what needs to be furthered. And as far as the service of the Lord is concerned, and the work in what I'm doing here with my show and being able to reach out more, I'm kind of excited because then once I have this job, I'm able to get somebody to assist me with my website, so I can get my website up to where I want it and fully operational in the sense of being interactive and things like that, like bringing my YouTube channel, a link to my website, such as that, different things, right? I think I might have one there now, but I will fix it up. Okay, Friday I talked about Job. Now, I'm going to bring you an article here because this is amazing. And I found it when I was going through all my boxes, and I have a ton of these articles, such as you see here. But this is the article I'm going to bring you. It's called Job's Faith by William Mealand, and it's a tremendous article. I went through it there on Saturday, and I thought, well, yeah, I got to bring this to you folks, to my brethren. Very important to understand that Job went through a lot, but he did not cave. He praised God even more in his situation. That is tough to do when you're in a situation of suffering and pain and trial, to thank God and praise God while you're going through it. Okay, Job's faith. There is a fineness of faith, a nobility of character in Job, good to contemplate. This is acknowledged by God himself, and may be a reason why his testing is made the occasion for such profound instruction. Right, so Job's testing is very important for us to understand, and it may bring you some consolation while you're going through your own suffering. The manner of circumstance of this testing is so distinctly of God that great lessons must inevitably ensue. There's a council in heaven at which Satan is present, and the Lord questions him as to his estimate of Job. Satan's answer is one of doubt and disparagement. He questions Job's faith. Will it hold? Strip him of external things, touch the things he loves, hurt him really and truly, and he will curse thee to thy face. This is what Satan says to God. The challenge is accepted. Satan goes forth with a mandate of power from God. Get this? His only mandate was the power of God. He could not do anything otherwise. And with awe-inspiring intensity, blows follow blows until, bereft of sons and daughters and of all his great possessions, Job and his wife are left alone. But see how nobly he rises to the occasion. In a rare spirit of resignation, he worships God. He accepts the great fact that both giving and withdrawal are of God. He may not understand, but he will still say, "Blessed be the name of the Lord." Yet the adversary is not satisfied. And so at a further session before God, he makes what he considers the greatest thrust of all. Put forth thine hand, touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face, says Satan. Note, however, that on each occasion, Job's accuser is in a suppliant position. He's under God. He cannot do anything outside of God's will. Power of assault is but delegated to him. Now thinks he, I shall gain my end, but absent from his mind is the great thought that the Lord has an end in view. This is yet to come out, as in the Apostle James comment we read. There goes my cat again. So hold on a second. Sorry about that, folks. I had to close the garage door. Cats are coming in and out, even in the winter weather. They still want to go out. They were used to going out all summer, and now they're bugging to go out, bugging to come in the next 5 minutes, like stuff like that. So, no problem. My apologies. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so this is as in the Apostle James comment we read. Lo, we are counting those happy who endure. You hear of the endurance of Job, and you are aware of the Lord's consummation, seeing that the Lord is very compassionate and pitiful. James chapter 5, verse 11. Yes, the Lord's consummation is everything, and Job is to see this. But now, with excruciating pain and spiritual loneliness, he feels a sharpness worse than death itself. Still, his central note is true. What shall we receive? Good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? A rare acknowledgement indeed. He looked through all the causes to the supreme of all. Job's three friends now come upon the scene, and the sight of his grief so impresses them that for a long time they are silent before him. They just sit there, because it's just so unbelievably painful just to watch somebody going through pain and suffering. In this, there was real sympathy. Eventually, Job voices his feelings. And how shall say there is no reason or excuse for some of his utterances? And who shall say it? There is a most acute pull of the body, so that the spirit seems to be submerged. He desires death, and wishes he had not been born. And yet it is not that God and his compassions are obliterated, but consciousness of him cannot find unclouded expression. For the moment the body is all to claim it with its immediate and persistent disturbance. In time, however, there comes poise of mind. The spirit rises above the flesh. An expression is given to an answering, unswerving trust in God. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. It is as though he said, let the worst come, though I see the sword raised. I will yet be confident that all began and will end in love. But learning can be a long process. It was so with Job. He cannot get away from the past. He remembers the times when, in superior ways, he moved among his fellow men. In a self-justifying vein, he indulges in saddened retrospect as of past prosperity. The 29th chapter is eloquent of this, but we must not overlook the wonderful breaks in lament. When Job testifies to the supremacy of God, they are great words he gives in utterance to. Okay, so I'm going to read this. Job chapter 12, verse 13 through 25. With him is wisdom and might, his counsel and understanding. Behold, he is demolishing and no one is building. He is locking a man in and no one is opening. Behold, he is restraining waters and they are drying. And he is sending then them and they are overturning the earth. With him is strength and reality. His is the erring one and the causer of error. This is speaking of God, the causer of error on purpose, causing counselors to go looted. And judges he is making blusterers. The disciples of kings he opens, and is binding a belt about their loins, causing priests to go looted. And the perpetual is he subverting, taking away the lip of the faithful, and taste from the old he is taking, pouring out contempt on patrons, and the belt of the channels relaxing, recalling deeps from the darkness, and bringing forth to light the shadow of death, causing nations to grow and destroying them, spreading out the nations and is guiding them, taking away the heart of the chiefs of the peoples of the earth. And he is causing them to stray in a wayless waste. They are groping in darkness and no light. And he is causing them to stray as a drunkard. His fine assertion too, I know that my vindicator lives, and that he will stand upon the earth. And even though my skin is destroyed, yet in my flesh shall I see God, whom I, even I, shall see on my side. And mine eyes shall behold not as a stranger. So again and again, in spite of his bitterness of soul, Job's spirit breaks from its bondage even to ecstasy. He accepts the fact that God's hand has touched him. And back of his mind, there is the thought that it must be for some wise purpose. Though God hides himself, yet he knows the sufferer's pathway. So Job is confident of this issue. What vexes him is the lack of understanding on the part of his friends. They think that he must have incurred God's displeasure, so regard him as a subject of chastisement. In their view, God is a rigid exactor. It may well be that Job is vexed by their arguments. He was prepared to hold his tongue. If they could truly teach him and cause him to understand wherein he erred. Miserable comforters, he calls them. I also could speak as you do. If your soul were in my soul's stead, I could heap up words against you and shake my head at you. He could bear God's hand upon him, but their reproaches were too much for him. Yet through it all, he was prepared to wait and to abide by God. Truly the heart alone knoweth its own bitterness. The speeches of the friends, while presenting a reverent conception of God, make him distant and as one unconcerned with human affairs. Their language is awe-inspiring, yet it places God at a great remove. Eliphaz dwells on his experience. That's one of Job's friends, Eliphaz. What I have seen is the burden of his discourse,
but what of the things he has not seen? As for Bildad, he would fain inquire of a former age. He is a traditionalist, and Zophar harps on human merit and divine reward. If thou prepare thine heart, then so the friends philosophize. But their arguments, though profound, fail to convince or convict Job. He is condemned, not comforted, by his own friends. And now Elihu enters the forum. That's one of his other friends. He will shew his opinion, speak on God's behalf, and teach Job wisdom. He calls upon him to stand still and consider the wondrous works of God. His ideas, however, are a little different from those of the other friends. While he is speaking, a storm approaches, and the presence of God makes itself felt. Elihu is perturbed. If a man speak, surely he shall be swallowed up. All pretensions are now swept aside as the voice out of the whirlwind asks, who is this darkening counsel by words without knowledge? Now indeed is instruction given. True light is shed on a distorted world, a world in which evil so grimly exists. The infinite range of divine power is shown. The immediate intensiveness of God is seen. In a wide range of the animal creation, impotence waits on omnipotence. And in the ministry so marvelously displayed, power is the attendant of love. Many evils abound in this creature kingdom, not because of sin, but that expression can be given to God's power and underlying purpose. So in these impressive interrogations, God himself is showing his nearness in the world he made. At last, Job sees his nothingness and confesses that he is of no account. What can he say or do? He is no match for pride and wickedness. If he could lay all evils low, then God is willing to confess that his own right hand can save him. Job chapter 40, verse 9 through 14. And should an arm of the deities be yours, and with a voice of his are you thundering? Ornament yourself, I pray, with pomp and loftiness, and with splendor and honor you will be clothed. Scatter the rage of your anger, and see anyone who is proud and abase him. See everyone who is proud and make him submit, and crush the wicked under them. Bury them in the soil together, their faces bind up in burial. And moreover, I will confess to you that you will be saved by your right hand. No, Job knows only too well its impossibility. Therefore, he avows God's wise and wonderful supremacy. Okay, I'm going to stop there today. And we'll go tomorrow with Job 42, verses 2 through 6. This article is good. It's a bit long, so that's why I'm stopping. Okay, so you see, Job praised God fully through his affliction. His friends, on the other hand, were persecuting him, but Job still praised God for his situation. We are living examples of that today. If we suffer, which we do, if we are persecuted, which we are, we can still praise God. This is the whole point. We are persecuted and suffering for a reason. So we look to God, toward God, rather than the world. And we can get through that trial and suffering. And we are living examples of that. As members of Christ's body, we suffer persecution from the hands of men, wicked men. But we get through with the faith of Jesus Christ. And we look toward God for the consolation. And the sequel, of course. We don't want to continually go through them suffering. So we want something to be learned from those trials. This is what we're after. So racing for the prize is part of that. It's part of us suffering through the trials and seeing that there's a lesson learned through the trial. I'm a living example of that as well with what I just went through in the last 2.5 years. And now God is gracing me with a new job. So you come through the sufferings and you learn something from it. I learned appreciation. Appreciation for what I have, every little thing I have, everything that God has graced me with, no matter what. That's appreciation. And thankfulness toward God, our Father, through Christ. I love you all. Have a wonderful day.